Have you ever wondered what home automation is? Well, here we go. We have the expert, Kevin Roach with Bravas.
Thank you. That was a very great intro.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Hey everyone, this is Erin Stetzer with Stetzer Builders. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our YouTube channel where we talk about all things luxury building. And we have Kevin Roach with us today who is all things home automation. So tell us a little bit about you and Bravas, just so people can understand.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here at Bravas, we deal in the same luxury residential construction space that you do, and we do all things technology, right? So we dabble in things from security to surveillance to audio, video, private theaters, all kinds of entertainment, and even the basics like great Wi-Fi and internet in your home.
All right, so Kevin, when we talk about your world and my world, people ask, okay, is this like home automation? How would you explain that to people who are building a home?
Yeah, that's a really good question, right? And there's all these different buzzwords, integrated home or home automation or different things. And sometimes that can add a little bit of muddiness or make things not very clear. Ultimately, I try to really help clients kind of step back from that and not worry so much what the terms are, but really dive into what things they're putting into their home that are connected to technology and how does that kind of fit together. And so we have smart doorbells and we have smart appliances and generators that report and pool systems and all these different subsystems that go into a house. And what we do as a business, and ultimately what home automation or an integrated home or whatever buzzword you want to use is basically the collection of all of those coming together and making it simple and intuitive and reliable to use.
And how do you know where to bring that conversation, whether it's lighting control, home automation, shades and TVs and speakers and music? So like, how do you break it down for people when you have your initial conversation?
Right, and it can be overwhelming, right? Technology is also kind of frightening at times. And so one of the things that we really focus on is that we want to we start our first meeting, we actually have a term for it, we call it a discovery meeting. And so ultimately the idea of this meeting is that we sit down, we talk about why are we building this home or why are we remodeling this home? What's going into it? Who's living in the home? Do you travel a lot? Are you concerned about security? Do you love to entertain? Are your children growing up here? Do you want your home to be the place where everyone comes over? We have all these questions, right, to kind of discover who the clients are and why they're actually doing this project. And then ultimately, and this I learned from my wife a long time ago, she was an educator before we had our children, and so she always said, you just need to educate people, let them know what the possibilities are. And so we really focus on a quick education on what is lighting control and what does that actually mean? How can that benefit you? What are these different technology things that can be available in a home? And then we want people to have that information and then kind of be able to make recommendations based off the conversations we've had with them, what their needs are, and help kind of put that together. But it's a very soft and subtle way into it so that it's not a scary proposition.
When do clients need to be clear on what they want in terms of lighting and shades and AV? At what point in the process, from drafting to the end, do those decisions need to be made?
Very early in the process, right? Counter to what most people actually believe, they think that what we do happens at the very end. And that can be done, but we lose the ability to really bring it all together and to make it look fantastic, right? And so things become afterthoughts. We're limited on the solutions that we can use. We're limited on how we can conceal products. And when we get involved very early on in the process, and so this is your answer, right, is at the very beginning, design phase, right? We work with a lot of architects and they bring us in before they even maybe have a finalized floor plan. And so we're looking at things at the very beginning. And so it's figuring out, how do we make this shade conceal inside a pocket? How do we deal with this steel window that they want to have an automated door control on that has nowhere to run wires, right? And we have to know how that's going to work at the very beginning so that that's designed into the plan before we ever even get into the field where it's coming together. Because at that point, we're limited by what we can get out of it. And so, yes, so in general, very beginning, right? Earlier than you think.
Way earlier.
Way earlier than you think, right? Yeah.
Let's talk about budget. All right, so we talked about a lot of things. So we want to be helpful to the people who are listening. And every home has a budget. So how do we help share your knowledge in terms of budgeting for lighting, AV, security, all that good stuff?
That's right. And that's the most difficult question, right? Like if I were to turn around and say, well, how much can you build a home for, right? Per square foot.
I turn the TV off right now.
Well, but that's nearly an impossible conversation, right? Because you can build it for, right? I mean, there are homes in the suburbs that are built for $90 a square foot, and then there are homes that are built for $5,000 a square foot. And so there's this range, right? And in our industry, unfortunately, it's the same thing. I will tell you that on our website, we have an amazing budget guide that's available, and it will talk about what you should expect to spend from a structured wiring perspective, which is the wiring that goes into your house during construction, the alarm system, how much you should expect to spend on a home network, how much you can spend on audio, and there's a lot of different things that you can look at and the ranges that go through that, and so that's a great resource. But part of the reason why you want someone brought in early is so that you can start having these budget conversations. And so you can start saying, what is this value for me? If I'm doing this whole house lighting with these really beautiful keypads that go into things, is that value higher for me than say, maybe having more higher performance audio? And so there's ways where you can affect the budget up and down based off of what your needs are and your desires are to be able to make sure we do that. And the short answer is, when we talk about budget, just to hit the head, right? I mean, we've done homes in River Oaks, which is our most exclusive community here in Houston, where we put only a security system in for $5,000, right? And then we've done homes in the Heights or the suburbs where they were $500,000, $700,000 home, and we did $750,000 projects for them, right? And so there's this span that can go all across the board, and it really varies based off of performance, coverage, how far across the home do we do this, how big of a scale the house is, and those will be the driving factors on how much you'll spend. So,
and is it a new home or a remodel, right? Those are two different
scenarios. Numbers. Yeah. Definitely more time.
Way to avoid it. Just kidding. No, but that is helpful. So we'll leave a link to Bravas so people can poke around at that and get some more info.